What you see on the table are many of my Schleich models of animals. When I paint or draw plants and flowers and trees, I like to work from a live plant. And I have a degree in horticulture, so that's always been easy to do, to have the plant to work from. But when it comes to animal subjects, it's not easy to have, say, an elephant in your backyard. And Schleich models are very good for this because they're the most realistic models that I've found. Now, especially with the whales, here's a humpback whale, a sperm whale, this is a Minke whale. So, and they're very correct as far as the details. Now, when I was learning to draw, learning to become an artist, I've been an artist for about 36 years, and I'm sure many of you have heard of life modeling classes where you have a human model sit in the middle of the room and everybody in the room draws them. So in a way this is similar, except when you have a person, many times they have the model moving or shifting position to teach the artist to look for the overall effect of the person, their face, their body language, and not just copying verbatim what you see. And that is where routine mechanical copying becomes art, because each person in a class like that is going to have a slightly different view of what that person looks like. You have to keep that in mind when you use plastic models. Like I said, one of my most serious rules is to work from life whenever possible. And yet I can't do that. Some animals I can. There are horses around. There are obviously turkeys around, dogs, raccoons. A lot of these are local, but some of them aren't. For example, the Atlantic puffin is over here. Now what you don't want to do is lay this down on a piece of paper or on a light table or something and trace it. You don't want to think like that. You want to look at the model and turn it around to see what view you like best. I happen to like something along those lines. And you can see the model has its head tilted slightly, looking to the side or looking down, maybe at something to eat. And I didn't do that with my drawing. I kept it straight. Now this is in copper point, which is metal point on a marble dust and rabbit skin glue surface. And metal point itself is the way that artists drew before the pencil was invented. And they would do, for the most part, they would use metal point when they planned on doing a painting over it, but also for some very fine drawing and sketching. So here they are. There are a lot of them here, and especially like with the horses. Let's say you like to draw horses. Well, I have maybe 15 or 20 horses here, and instead of only looking at one horse, say this one, and specifically drawing the one horse, what I would suggest is take 4 or 5 of the group, put them separately somewhere, and look at the 4 or the 5 of them and find out what do the 4 or 5 have in common. That's a better way to do it, because you've got Clydesdales, which are huge draft horses, and then you have Mustangs. Wild Mustangs are much smaller and delicate, but very strong. So studying your models is a way for you to reaffirm the different characteristics that each type of animal has. I have another drawing that I had done of an ostrich. I really like ostriches, and there's an ostrich family right there. So the Schleich models run, some of the smaller ones like chickens, cats, rabbits, they all run around $4 or $5 a piece. Once the horses can be like $7 or $8 a piece. The whales are, many of them are discontinued. So if you can find them, they're expensive. There is a second issue of a humpback, but the first issue humpback goes for anywhere from $50 to $80 now. The sperm whale, I think, is still made. The sperm whale calf is hard to find. I have not been able to find the humpback whale calf, and I know that'll be expensive when I do find it. The Minke whale was hard to find. I had to get this one from Germany, because once they're issued, they leave them on the market for, say, 4 or 5 years, and then they retire them. So if you're interested in a certain animal type, and you don't live near where that animal lives, the Schleich models are a pretty good alternative. For example, with the rabbits, the dog and I, every morning on a walk, these are all the rabbits over here, we see rabbits all the time, and I photograph them all the time. So I don't really need models of rabbits unless I want to make sure that I'm picking up what I may have missed when I see it quickly. So it can back up working from life. It can supplement that. Here's a dog, and here's a border collie. And I know of 2 border collies, and I know they look generally like this. Schleich is more or less known for getting the details pretty accurate. So if I draw something like this, it's going to look like a border collie. And I think this is an alligator. I don't know if it's an alligator or a crocodile. These larger ones are by safari for the most part. Here's a, I think it's a sockeye salmon. And, you know, for $4, it sure beats going to a salmon run and trying to wait until they jump out of the water to get a picture of them. So there are ways that some of these are invaluable, really, when you're studying. Now, I had done a gorilla drawing. I don't have it here right now. I only have one gorilla figure, and it's a male gorilla. So with that, I had to use several references. I was drawing a female gorilla, so I had to use different references, and the male gorilla figure over there was only one of them. So I just wanted to make this short video explaining how you can use what are generally marketed as kids' toys. They're also very good replica models. Many of them are to scale as far as each other goes. The elephants are small. Obviously, the elephant would be much bigger than that compared to the hippopotamus that it's next to right there. The lion would not be taller than a zebra, but I think that lion is Safari brand. So within the Schleich models, they tend to keep them somewhat in scale. The elephant, there's a white rhino and a black rhino over there. Both are endangered species. And that's where my interest lies with these. Sometimes what Schleich and other companies do is highlight endangered species so that kids are more educated about them, so the public is more educated about them, to try and help them survive. I saw some photos online the other day of global warming and polar bears, and the polar bear they were showing was completely emaciated. It looked like it was going to drop dead any minute, that it hadn't eaten in months. And I know they sleep for months, but they usually, this is what they should look like. And the one that I saw online was so skinny, it was sad. And that is kind of what we're doing to our world. So even if you only draw for fun, for yourself, if it's not a marketing thing for you, even if you just want to heighten your own awareness, if you have a polar bear model and you draw it, the next time you see a picture of an emaciated polar bear, you're going to think twice about what global warming is really doing, whether global warming is really true or whether there's another reason the bear is so skinny. So it's a way to educate yourself, to heighten your own intelligence, to keep moving forward and using simple toys. They're not always inexpensive, but simple things in order to have a correct life model. Vincent Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists, and he painted a lot of sunflowers. You might find that, like in my case, I really like ducks, rabbits, and chickens. You might find that you could buy all the chickens by Schleich. I have 7 chickens. I could draw those 7 chickens all the time and still have more than enough material to make interesting. You can go from abstract to metal point like I did. You can work in oil, acrylic. You can work in anything you want. And these are a way to have subject matter right here at your fingertips without going anywhere.